The message from the stars. The sky above Earth was quiet, but inside the United Space Station something strange was happening. A sudden signal had cut through every satellite, every channel, every screen. It wasn't human-made, it was alien. General Aria Winters stood still, watching the blinking red symbols on the holographic screen. The message came from the Galactic Council, the most powerful group of alien civilizations in the galaxy. They had not spoken to Earth in 10 years, not since the last war, not since they called Earth primitive and walked away, but now their voice echoed across the stars. "This is the Galactic Council," the deep voice said. "We offer peace to the people of Earth." The words were calm, but Aria's heart was not. She had fought in the Orion conflict, she had seen council ships burn cities, and now they wanted peace. Earth's president, Elias Monroe, called for an emergency world broadcast. Nations cheered, people cried. The world was tired of fear, tired of waiting for war. They wanted peace, and the council knew it. But Aria didn't trust easy words, not anymore. In her private war room, she met with her top intelligence officers. They played the signal again and again. Under the voice, under the message, were strange pulses, too perfect to be random, too fast to be natural. It was a code, she was sure of it. "What do you think, General?" asked Major Lee, her cyber analyst. Aria narrowed her eyes. "Something's hidden inside that message," she said, "and I think it's not a peace offering." Lee nodded and began decoding the signal using Earth's quantum AI. It took 6 hours to break just one layer. What they found made Aria's blood run cold. Inside the message was a hidden pattern. It matched the movement of enemy fleets. The coordinates showed hundreds of warships gathering near Saturn, right where the Council proposed to meet for it. Peace talks. "They're setting up a trap," Aria said, her voice steady but sharp. "They want us to come to the table, and then they'll strike." Major Lee looked pale. "But what if the president signs the treaty anyway?" he asked. "He wants this peace badly." Aria knew that was true. President Monroe had promised the world an end to fear, and the council's timing was perfect. Earth's economy was shaking, the people were tired, they would welcome peace, even if it smelled like poison. She had to act fast. If she went public with the truth, panic would spread. But if she stayed silent, Earth's leaders would walk into the council's trap. She made a decision. "Prepare shadow protocol," she ordered. "Deploy our deep space scouts, keep them invisible." "Ma'am," Lee said, "you really think this is a betrayal?" Aria looked at the screen, at the peaceful message still looping again and again. The council's words were smooth, perfect, well-rehearsed, too perfect. "I don't think it's a betrayal," she said quietly. "I know it is." Across Earth, people watched fireworks, held hands, and sang songs of peace. They didn't know what Aria knew. They didn't see the war building behind the stars. The Council had played this game before, with weaker worlds, with trusting species. But Earth was different now. Earth remembered, Earth had learned, and Earth had Aria Winters. The night fell quiet again, but in the darkness of space, far beyond the moon, something was moving. Metal giants with glowing engines were drifting into place near Saturn's rings, waiting for the signal, waiting for Earth to step into the trap. But Earth wasn't walking blind, not this time, not with Aria watching the stars like a hawk. She had one message of her own to send back. "To the Galactic Council," she whispered as the transmitter warmed up. "Thank you for your offer of peace." And then she smiled, coldly, and sharp like steel. "But we've seen this trick before." The hidden signal. The Council's peace message still echoed across Earth, but deep beneath the city of Geneva, in a hidden bunker called Black Core, something darker was unfolding. General Aria Winters sat inside the command room, eyes locked on the swirling alien code still spinning on the giant holoscreen. It looked like art to most people, but to her, it was a warning dressed as beauty, a calm mask hiding a blade underneath. "Tell me what you found," Aria said firmly. Major Lee adjusted his headset and brought up a fresh layer of the transmission. "Our AI decrypted another layer," he said, "and you were right." On the screen, a new pattern emerged. The signal wasn't just a message, it was a map. More than that, it was a route. A fleet was moving in real time, 27 Council warships headed straight for Saturn's shadow zone. It was the exact place they invited Earth's leaders to meet for peace, a location with weak communications and no satellite coverage, a perfect place to vanish. It's not a treaty, Arya muttered. It's a staging ground for an ambush. Her voice was calm, but inside her heart beat like a drum. She looked around the room, technicians, analysts, officers, all waiting for her next move, and then she said two words that changed everything. Alert Phantom. Silence fell. Phantom was Earth's most secret fleet, hidden for decades, cloaked, silent, watching from deep space. It wasn't built for diplomacy, it was built for survival. Within minutes, encrypted orders flashed through secure relays. Commander Juno Kai of Phantom Fleet received the order aboard her stealth battleship Vortex. She didn't ask questions, she simply whispered, "At last," and began readying her ships for silent war. Back on Earth, the president still smiled on camera, speaking of peace. He had no idea the trap was already built around him. Arya watched the news feed, jaw clayey. "Ched, does he know?" Lee asked, glancing toward the broadcast. "No," Arya replied. "And he can't. Not yet." She turned back to the code and noticed something strange. A second pulse inside the message, smaller, weaker, but moving. It wasn't council code. It was human. Arya leaned forward, heart racing. "Zoom in, enhance Sector 49B, she commanded. Lee tapped fast and the screen zoomed in on the strange pulse. It was a distress signal, one used by Earth's deep space scouts, and it was coming from inside the Council's territory. Someone from Earth had seen the trap before the Council sent the peace offer. Someone was already out there trying to warn them. "Who's broadcasting it?" she asked. Lee froze, then whispered, "It's Scout Echo 9. Arya's blood ran cold. Echo 9 was led by Captain Rafe Kale, a soldier believed to be dead 3 years ago during a recon mission near the Helios system. But now his signal was alive and moving. He was out there, running, hiding, and sending a warning. "He knew," Arya whispered. "He saw it coming even before we did." Outside, Earth prepared for the peace summit. Flags waved, cities lit up with celebration. But in the dark corners of space, Phantom Fleet moved silently, and Captain Rafe Kale, bruised and breathing heavily in a stolen escape pod, sent one more message. "They're coming," his voice crackled. "They're coming fast and they won't stop." He looked out at the stars through his shattered canopy. "Earth must not trust them," he said. "The treaty is a weapon." Back in Black Core, Arya stood tall, her voice cold and focused. "Begin Shadow Shield," she said. "No more pretending. Earth will play their game, but with our own rules." The peace ship, the Earth peace ship Solstice, stood tall and shining in orbit. Its surface reflected sunlight like a mirror, showing Earth below like a blue dream. People around the world watched it rise through the clouds with hope in their hearts. They believed peace was coming. They believed war was finally over. But General Arya Winters wasn't celebrating. She stood in a private observation chamber inside the United Space Station, watching Solstice disappear into the black void. Behind her, live broadcasts showed smiling news anchors, waving children, and banners saying "United Galaxy at last." It all felt fake, too smooth, too perfect, too rehearsed. She turned to her assistant, Lieutenant Zuri Hale. "Status on the stealth drone?" Arya asked without looking away. "It's in position," Zuri replied. "Shadow drone Delta 2 is tailing Solstice from 10,000 kilometers, cloaked and silent." Arya nodded. "Keep it hidden." The Council had invited Earth's leaders to board their flagship, the Celestria, near Saturn, a place where no communications could be tracked, a place where history might be erased in silence. President Monroe was already aboard Solstice, along with his security team and Earth's top diplomats. He had rejected Arya's warnings. He said peace was too important to delay. "They trust too easily," Arya whispered, her voice bitter. "But Earth can't afford trust." Across the void, the Celestria waited like a sleeping monster. It was massive, 3 times the size of any human ship, shaped like a golden crescent moon with curved armor and thousands of sensor eyes. Its doors were open, wide, and welcoming, too welcoming. Inside the Council ship, Ambassador Vadran of the Zalari watched the Earthship approach. He smiled with 4 eyes and sent a message across the bridge. "Prepare diplomatic hold," he said, "and load containment gas in Bay 12. It wasn't peace they were preparing, it was capture." Meanwhile, Arya watched from her chamber as her hidden drone followed Solstice into the trap. The drone's data streamed into her command center, showing strange council signals, movement patterns, and silent weapons shifting beneath the ship's golden skin. "They're preparing for a strike," Zuri said, reading the data. "Yes," Arya replied, "but they'll have a surprise." She opened a secure channel, one only she had access to. It connected to Phantom Fleet, still hiding beyond Saturn's rings, waiting for the right moment. Commander Juno Kai's face appeared, battle-hardened and calm. "We have a problem," Arya said. "The Council is preparing to take the President alive. They want to use him." Juno's face didn't change. "Then we take Celestria off the board," she replied. "No," Arya said, "not yet. We let them make the first move, we collect evidence, and then we end it." Back aboard Solstice, President Monroe stood at the window staring at the approaching alien flagship. He felt proud, maybe even a little heroic. He believed he was bringing peace to billions. He had no idea he was being hunted. As Solstice docked with Celestria, the Council greeted the Earth leaders with smiles, gifts, and hollow words. They led them to a grand hall filled with light and alien music. No one noticed the strange gas tubes hidden in the walls. No one saw the silent guards with shock weapons standing behind silk curtains, but Arya saw everything. From her drone's hidden camera, she watched it all. She saw Vadran give a signal, 3 fingers raised, a nod and a blink. That was it. The trap was about to spring. "Do we engage?" Zuri asked. Arya waited 1 heartbeat, then said, "Not yet." Because just before the gas could be released, another signal burst across the stars. It came from deep space, encrypted, raw, panicked. Captain Rafe, Kale, still alive, still fighting to reach Earth, had sent it. "They're not alone," his voice cracked through static. "A third faction is using the Council too. They're all part of it." The betrayal was even bigger than Arya had imagined. It wasn't just a Council lie, it was a galaxy-wide setup, and Earth was the center of it. Arya stood up straight, her eyes sharp, her voice cold. "Activate Valkyrie Protocol," she said, and across the stars, hidden engines roared to life. Humanity was done pretending. Peace was no longer the goal. Survival was, and Earth was ready to fight. The betrayal begins. Explosions shook the walls of the Celestria before the peace treaty could even be signed. The entire Council ship trembled as red lights flashed and sirens screamed through the halls. Earth's President Monroe fell to the floor, dazed, surrounded by smoke. Guards ran in every direction, shouting in alien tongues. But it wasn't Earth that fired first. It wasn't even the Council. It was someone else. General Arya Winters watched from her hidden drone feed. What she saw sent chills down her spine. A third fleet, black ships with no known markings, had come out of the darkness behind Saturn. They had opened fire without warning, striking both the Council and Earth ship with surgical precision. "They were waiting for this exact moment," she whispered. "Someone knew we'd all be here." Zuri Hale turned from her station, eyes wide. "These ships, they're not Council, and they're not ours." "Then who are they?" Arya asked. The answer came seconds later from a broken signal blasting through the drone's audio feed. "This is Captain Rafe Kale," his voice came through, strained but clear. "If you're hearing this, then it's already started. The third faction, they're real. They call themselves the Nulls. They don't want peace, they want control. And they're using the Council as bait." Inside the Celestria, chaos took over. Alien guards pulled weapons trying to protect Council leaders. Earth's delegation was split, some ducking for cover, others frozen in shock. President Monroe tried to reach for his comms device, but it was too late. A blast shook the chamber, and the main entrance caved in. Smoke filled the peace hall as gas hissed from broken pipes. Council ambassadors screamed as black-clad attackers broke through the ship's shields with tech far beyond Council design. The Nulls had come prepared, and they weren't here to talk. In Earth orbit, Phantom Fleet sprang into motion. Commander Juno Kai didn't wait for orders. The vortex decloaked, weapons glowing, and led Earth's warships into battle. "All ships," Juno said, "engage only if fired upon, but be ready. The enemy is not the Council anymore." The Council fleet panicked, unsure whether Earth had turned on them or someone else had. Some tried to flee, others opened fire blindly, making the battlefield even more deadly. Arya stared at the mess and knew one thing for sure. This was never about peace, she said. It was a test. Zuri looked at her, confused. A test? Yes, Arya replied. The Nulls wanted to see how fast we'd destroy each other when the curtain fell. In the middle of the chaos, the solstice was still holding on. Its shields flickered as energy bolts slammed against its hull. Inside, Earth's diplomats regrouped and began evacuating the president to the ship's core. He was coughing, dizzy but alive. Back on Earth, people still watched news feeds, confused by broken signals and flickering images. The peace treaty that had given them hope was now a battlefield, and only Arya and a few others knew the truth. The Council hadn't betrayed Earth. They had been used. Earth was just the trap, but humans didn't break when the trap closed. They fought back. Bring Rafe in, Arya ordered. Find him wherever he is. If he saw the Nulls, before anyone else, he might know their weakness. Far beyond the Saturn war zone, a damaged escape pod drifted quietly in the shadows of a small moon. Inside, Captain Rafe Kale gritted his teeth, holding on to life. His pod was nearly out of power, but he had sent one last burst message to Earth before losing consciousness. The message arrived at Black Core an hour later. Zuri gasped as she read it. General, she said, Rafe found something. Something buried under the Council archives. He says the Nulls are not just another race. They used to be part of the Council. Arya froze. What? The Nulls were erased from history, Zuri said, by the Council itself. They were betrayed long ago, and now they've come back for revenge. Arya took a deep breath, the weight of history settling on her shoulders. Then peace was never possible, she said softly, because the Council's biggest lie just came home to destroy all of us. Humanity unleashed. The sky above Saturn turned red, not from a sun or a storm, but from fire, from war, from Earth's response. Phantom Fleet uncloaked all at once. Dozens of Earth's most advanced warships burst from the shadows like silent predators. The galaxy had never seen Earth's full strength before, because Earth had never needed to show it. Until now, Commander Juno Kai stood tall on the bridge of the vortex. Her voice was calm, her orders sharp. All units, fire to disable Council weapons only, target Null ships with full force. She didn't blink. She knew this wasn't just a battle, it was a message. General Arya Winters watched the real-time battle unfold on the war table in Black Core. Lines danced across the screen as Earth ships moved in perfect formation, like a living machine powered by survival, discipline, and fire. The Null fleet had superior technology, but Earth had something stronger. Unity, strategy, and most of all, rage held in silence for decades. Earth's ships unleashed. Hid weapons the Council didn't even know existed. Graviton lances sliced through enemy shields. Quantum pulse bombs exploded in silence, tearing open space around Null cruisers. Micro-drones, cloaked and tiny, drilled through hulls and disabled engines in seconds. The battlefield became a storm of steel and energy. Council commanders tried to escape. Some begged for Earth to help them. Others still blamed Earth for everything, but Earth didn't care anymore, because for the first time in history, humanity wasn't defending, it was leading. Back aboard the Solstice, President Monroe finally realized the truth. This wasn't about diplomacy, this was about survival, and Earth had come prepared. He watched from the reinforced deck window as Null destroyers fell one by one, silent flashes in the distance like fireworks that meant freedom. Even the Council guards protecting him looked shaken. They had believed the humans were weak, too emotional, too young. But now they saw the truth. Humans were fire hidden in water. Meanwhile, Captain Rafe Kale was recovered from his pod, half conscious but alive. He was rushed to Black Core, strapped into a medical capsule. When he opened his eyes, the first person he saw was Arya. You made it, she said softly. You knew before all of us. Rafe smiled weakly. They betrayed the Nulls first, he whispered, but they made a mistake thinking we'd fall for the same lie. Outside, the Council flagship Celestria was burning, not from human fire but from Null sabotage. Its golden crescent shape was broken, cracked in half, floating dead in space. Council leaders evacuated in escape pods, their power shattered, their pride buried in smoke. But Earth's ships held formation, not chasing the survivors, not seeking revenge. They waited for Arya's next command. In the silence that followed the chaos, Arya opened a wideband transmission to the galaxy. She didn't smile, she didn't shout, she simply spoke. This is General Aria Winters of Earth. We did not seek war. We were offered peace, and we accepted. But we were lied to. So we answered in the only language your betrayal understands. She paused as millions of alien ships across different star systems watched her face. Earth does not forget, she said, and Earth does not kneel. A quiet wave swept through the galaxy. Some alien species began transmitting messages of respect, some of alliance, and some of apology, because they finally understood what Earth truly was, not just a planet, but a force, a will, a warning. The battle was over, but something new had started. Not just a war, but a shift, a moment in time where the stars learned to fear humanity not for its weapons, but for its mind, its patience, and its refusal to break. The war of truth. The battle was over, but the war had only just begun. All across the galaxy, the truth began to spread. The Council's lies were no longer hidden behind golden flags and polished words. Every recorded signal, every intercepted betrayal, every scream from the Celestia, Earth had saved it all, and Aria Winters was about to show the galaxy everything. Inside Black Core, the hologram chamber lit up with bright lines and sharp red symbols. Behind those glowing shapes were truths long buried by the Council, old treaties forged with blood, peaceful races erased in silence, and deep in that data was the name of the ones once erased. The Nulls. Rafe Kale, now stable in his recovery pod, watched quietly as Aria played the ancient footage, council meetings filled with fear and arrogance, moments where the Nulls had begged for fairness, and the Council had responded with war. They were never the villains, Rafe said, voice low. They were just the first to be betrayed. Zuri Hale stepped forward holding a new decrypted file. General, she said, we intercepted a light, if distress signal. Not from the Nulls, not from the Council, but from a third species, small, independent, caught in the crossfire. Aria narrowed her eyes. Read it. Zuri took a breath, then spoke. To Earth Command, this is the Delnari outpost. We have no weapons, we seek refuge. The Council told us Earth would destroy us if we refused the peace treaty. But now we see the truth. Aria stepped forward, her voice steady. Send a message to every neutral system. Let them know Earth is not here to rule. We are here to expose the ones who tried to rule through fear. Outside Earth's orbit, Phantom Fleet remained active, but they weren't hunting anymore. They were guarding, protecting trade routes, scanning deep space, responding to refugee calls. Their weapons were ready but not aimed. Because now the real battle was for trust. The Council, broken and scattered, tried to rebuild their reputation, but every message they sent was met with silence, and every lie they told was shattered by Earth's recordings. In one system, Council envoys arrived with gold and words, but the local people replied with Earth's symbol carved into their city walls, a reminder that truth cannot be erased. Meanwhile, Aria formed the Alliance of the Free, a coalition of planets, species, and refugees who no longer wished to live under deception. Earth did not lead it. It simply lit the fire and let others step into the light. One by one, star systems joined, not because of fear, but because of something greater. Respect. Back in Black Core, Rafe walked with a limp through the strategy deck. He looked over at the large screen showing Phantom Fleet patrol paths. Do you think the Nulls will attack again? He asked. Aria stared at the map, then shook her head slowly. They won their revenge, she said, but they also saw what Earth can do. I think they'll watch us from the shad. But not strike, not now. They know we don't bluff, Zuri added quietly, and we don't forget. In a far-off sector of space, an encrypted signal pulsed briefly. A Null commander watched Earth's message broadcast play on a cracked monitor. She said nothing, but slowly turned off her weapons grid, then faded into the dark, because even the shadows now feared the light Earth carried. As the stars returned to calm, Earth sent one last message, not of threat, not of pride, but of promise. To those who seek truth, we stand with you. To those who hide behind lies, we will find you. We are not your enemies, but we will never be your prey. And across the galaxy, hearts changed because truth is more powerful than fear, and Earth, once ignored, had become the voice the stars could no longer silence. The last betrayal, the galaxy was quiet again. Council fleets had vanished into their damaged home systems. The nulls had retreated to the outer shadows of space, and Earth stood tall, not as a ruler, not as a conqueror, but as a warning to those who dealt in lies. But even now, Arya Winters felt uneasy. Something didn't sit right. The data, the timing, the way the nulls and council were played against each other, it all felt arranged. Inside Black Core, the AI system Argent pinged a red alert, unauthorized access from internal server, it said. Zuri Hale looked up, confused. No one's inside that lab, she said. That wing's been sealed since the Orion War. Arya's blood ran cold. Open it, she said. Now. When the doors unlocked, a single figure stood in the dark room. He turned slowly, dressed in black, old uniform patched with an outdated Earth emblem. His face was familiar, worn by time and guilt. It was Admiral Corin Dace, the man once believed to have died 15 years ago. He had not died. He had vanished. You, Arya whispered, stepping forward. You were the architect of Phantom Fleet, the one who disappeared after the Council Accords failed. Why are you here? Dace didn't flinch. I'm here to finish what I started, he said, voice calm. I warned Earth the Council couldn't be trusted, but they wouldn't listen. Arya stared at him, the weight of the past and present crashing together. You knew about the nulls, she said slowly. You helped them, didn't you? Yes, he said without hesitation. I gave them old council maps, old Earth encryption keys. I gave them the tools to wake up the galaxy. Zuri stepped back in shock. You betrayed Earth, she said. You caused the war. No, Dace said quietly. The war was already coming. I just made sure Earth wasn't crushed by surprise. Arya's hands trembled, not from fear, but from rage held too long. You endangered billions, she said. You used Earth as bait. I trusted you'd be ready, he said. I trusted you. Alarms echoed again as Earth's defense system detected a small, cloaked vessel launching from deep beneath the Arctic ice. Dace smiled slightly. Goodbye, Arya, he said, pressing something on his wristband. Then he vanished in a blink of teleport light. Arya stood still, eyes locked on the empty space where he had stood. She turned to Zuri. Track that ship now. But the signal was already gone, lost in the asteroid belt beyond Mars. Back in her private chamber, Arya sat alone, watching the stars. She felt victory, but not peace, not yet, because the real betrayal had come not from the Council, not from the nulls, but from within Earth's own legacy, from a man who believed his betrayal was a gift, not a crime. Across the galaxy, whispers of Admiral Dace began to spread. Some called him a hero who forced the truth into the light. Others called him the spark that nearly ended everything. But only Arya knew the full story. Only she knew that the war wasn't over. It had simply changed its face. Humanity had stood tall, had fought smart, had endured lies from every corner of the stars. And now, it had one final lesson to teach. We may forgive, but we never forget. We may be slow to strike, but we are never blind. And when betrayal hides in the shadows, we do not fear it. We hunt it as Earth rebuilt, as alliances formed, as hope returned to alien skies. A final message was etched into the memory core of Black Core Command, written not in code but in plain words all could understand. We did not start this fire, but we will be the last to burn. And so the stars watched, waiting, knowing that if the galaxy ever betrayed Earth again, humanity would not just fight, it would finish it.